What's up everyone, Justin Epperson here, your Philadelphia area real estate agent. Today we're going to go over Pennsylvania's homebuyer grant program, which gives you up to $24,000 at closing. And the best part is, it's not just for first-time homebuyers. It's also called the KFIT program, Keystone Forgiven in 10 years. It's not an actual loan, it's an actual grant that you get at closing. We're going to go over the income requirements and the pros and the cons. First, I'd like to start with your income requirements and how this thing works. You qualify for this if you make less than $180,000 a year. The purchase price of the home cannot exceed $485,000, and you need a credit score of 660 or higher. So the way it works is this program is designed to pay for your down payment on your house. The only thing you'd be required to pay is closing costs at closing. So the way it works is if you have a $485,000 house, the state will pay 5%. So whether you're electing to do the 5% down conventional or a 5% down FHA loan, the state's going to pay your down payment and you're just paying closing costs at that point, which can vary depending on title insurance and escrow for taxes, depending on the township or portions of the city here in Philadelphia. You're probably wondering what's the catch. There really isn't a catch other than the name of this is called Keystone Forgiven in 10 years. The state would like you to stay in this house for 10 years, but you don't have to. So the way it works is the state keeps track of that $24,000 that they gave you at closing, and 10% of that is forgiven every year. So if you live in the house for 10 years, it's completely forgiven. If you live in it for 5 years, you'd have to pay back half of it. In this scenario, we're looking at getting a $24,000 credit on a $485,000 home. So after 5 years, you'd only have to pay back $12,000. You're probably also wondering, how do they keep track of that $24,000? And it's a great question. The state, or I should say the Pennsylvania Housing and Finance Agency, they're the ones that actually implement this grant. They actually give you the money. They keep track of that $24,000 by recording a second mortgage. They keep track of it, and like I mentioned earlier, it's forgiven after 10 years. The cons associated with this program, or I should say this KFIT grant or down payment assistance, is it roughly takes about 8 weeks. Recently in the real estate market, everybody expects to close between 4 and 6 weeks. Fast closing kind of gets the deal done, but the market is changing. 8 weeks isn't really terrible, but there's a little bit of red tape associated with the Pennsylvania Housing and Finance Agency. The mortgage brokers, the title insurance companies, what I've seen in the past of the buyers I've worked with, we're looking at roughly 8 weeks from when we sign the agreement of sale and go to closing. Anything less than that, we're not able to perform and we're not able to keep up with those deadlines based on some of the red tape and the bureaucracy of getting this grant approved. Another con or negative would be you cannot have more than $50,000 of liquid funds. So I broke down the income parameters, which were $180,000 or less and a credit score of 660 or higher. You also cannot have more than $50,000 in liquid assets, or I should say cash, in your bank account after closing. You can use some of the money for closing costs, which might be roughly around $10,000, depending on the county that you're purchasing the house in. But when you're done and after closing is finished, you can't have more than $50,000 in liquid cash to qualify for this program. So get with your mortgage broker, get with your real estate agent, which is hopefully me in the Philadelphia and the surrounding area, and you have to pregame a little bit because these underwriters do forensic accounting and they will find the money. So you have to either move the money around or don't show certain assets and don't show certain cash, and be smart about things that you're doing prior to applying for this mortgage. You just gotta be careful what you're doing with the money and kind of prepare ahead of time. That's pretty much the gist of it, the pros, the cons, the income limits. If you have any questions on this, please comment below. And if you wouldn't mind, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, thank you.